Well, hello yet again. I thought this was quite interesting. This is a recent thing. I think probably this month, I think it was. Is there a date on this? Yeah, June the 9th, 2022. So a week or so ago. NASA to set up independent study on unidentified aerial phenomena. Now this makes a lot more sense to me than having the Navy look into it. I know the Navy are getting buzzed by these things, but I think if they're if any of them turn out to actually be physical objects, they're going to be things that are put into an exercise arena to either test their response to it, or it'll be from a terrestrial adversary just trying to pick up some electronic intelligence gathering on their communications and radars and guidance systems and that sort of stuff. I don't think the Navy are going to be bothered by extraterrestrials. The Navy would be no risk whatsoever to extraterrestrials. It would be a complete waste of the time of the extraterrestrials. Far more sense, I think, to get someone like NASA involved in this sort of thing. I mean, they have lots and lots of spacecraft, satellites, all this sort of stuff. They've been looking for ET for decades with SETI and what have you. They've got satellites that the new James Webb Space Telescope is looking for signatures, exoplanet atmospheric technology or life signatures, oxygen, carbon dioxide, that sort of thing. Okay, well, let's just see what it says anyway. This is from the nasa.gov website, so this is not some spotty oik in a garden shed. NASA to set up independent study on unidentified aerial phenomena, and it says NASA is commissioning a study team to start early in the fall to examine unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. So early in the fall in America, that's autumn in the UK, so that's going to be what, June, July, probably September. That would be early in the fall, wouldn't it? This year. Okay, that is observations of events in the sky that cannot be identified as aircraft or known natural phenomena. From a scientific perspective, the study will focus on, I'm reading this through the viewfinder, so apologies for the poor reading of this. The study will focus on identifying available data, how best to collect future data, and how NASA can use that data to move the scientific understanding of UAPs forward. Okay, sounding a little bit like Mr. Garrity there. Okay, the limited number of observations of UAPs currently makes it difficult to draw scientific conclusions about the nature of such events. Unidentified phenomena in the atmosphere are of interest for both national security and air safety. As far as we know, we've never had a military or a civilian aircraft brought down by one of these things. Establishing which events are natural provides a key first step to identifying or mitigating such phenomena, which aligns with one of NASA's goals to ensure the safety of aircraft. That's a bit of a strange goal for NASA, isn't it, really? One of NASA's goals is to ensure the safety of aircraft. I suppose if you're shooting large spacecraft into the sky, you need to make sure that you're not going to be hitting any civilian aircraft. But you would think the FAA would be more interested in ensuring the safety of aircraft, really, wouldn't you? There is no evidence UAPs are extraterrestrial in origin. There we are. that bottom line there is no evidence UAPs are extraterrestrial in origin. And that's all we've been saying, really, isn't it? Show us the evidence. You're telling us all this sort of thing is happening, that we're not seeing any evidence. All we're hearing is science fiction stories. Okay, let's move this up a little bit. NASA believes that the tools of scientific discovery are powerful and apply here also, said Thomas Zubican, sorry if I've butchered that name, the Associate Administrator for Science at NASA headquarters in Washington. We have access to a broad range of observations of Earth from space, and that is the lifeblood, sorry, this is so small trying to see this on this little viewfinder, and that is the lifeblood of scientific inquiry. We have the tools and team who can help us improve our understanding of the unknown. That's the very definition of what science is. That's what we do. The agency is not part of the Department of Defense's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force or its successor, the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. So after the hearing they've renamed it again, so if you want to get an FOI out, Freedom of Information out, that's the new name for this organisation that's looking into this for the Department of Defence in America. NASA has, however, coordinated widely across the government regarding how to apply the tools of science to shed light on the nature and origin of unidentified aerial phenomena. Well, to be honest, I would think that, you know, liaising with NORAD would be a pretty good start, wouldn't it? The agency's independent study team will be led by astrophysicist David Spergel, who is president of the Simons Foundation in New York City and previously the chair of the astrophysics department at Princeton University, at Princeton, New Jersey. Daniel Evans, the Assistant Deputy Associated Administrator for Research at NASA's Science Mission Directorate, will serve as the NASA official responsible for orchestrating the study. Given the paucity of observations, that means few and far between basically, our first task is simply to gather the most robust set of data that we can, said Spergel. We will be identifying what data from civilians, government, non-profit companies, companies exists. Okay, so they're going to be looking at sort of everything by the sound of it. What data? They use the word data, not evidence. We will be identifying what data from civilians, government, non-profits, companies exists. Okay, so what else we should try to collect and how best to analyze it. The study is expected to take about 9 months to complete, it will secure the Council of Experts on the Scientific Aeronautics and Data. Yeah, I wish I could actually read this rather than trying to read it through this little tiny viewfinder. Anyway, what I'll do is they'll focus on how to best collect new data and improve observations of UAPs. Consistent with NASA's principles of openness, transparency and scientific integrity, this report will be shared publicly, said Evans. All of NASA's data is available to the public. We take that obligation seriously and we make it easily accessible for anyone to see or study. Okay, so although unrelated to this new study, NASA has an active astrobiology program that focuses on the origins, evolution and distribution of life beyond Earth, and this is the spacecraft studying exoplanet. Okay, so they're going to oh, this is interesting. This has just come up. This has just come up on the big screen. This is the news. Okay, hang on. Let's just see if we can get some sound on this. Yeah, it's too late. Oh, isn't that amazing? I'll have to record the news later on. Bill Clinton said he searched Area 51 and found nothing. Okay, now so now NASA have got an independent study. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with this, the thing they were discussing in Congress the other day. You think NASA would be quite well equipped for looking for this sort of thing with the amount of satellites they've got, this observational satellites, and you know, the Hubble Space Telescope and Pan-STARRS and all this, the device that spotted and tracked Oumuamua, all this other stuff, so that they're well positioned for this sort of thing. It's a very short study, so they're expecting to be able to form an opinion on it fairly quickly. And it'll be interesting. So 9 months from the beginning of fall, so that's September, October, November, so it'll be July 2023 they should have finished it, or June 2023 they'll have finished it. So it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for the conclusion from their study to actually materialise. But I would have thought that, you know, both Congress, the Ministry of Defence, and maybe NASA, if they're interested in this stuff as well, we'll be talking to NORAD, you know, people that are looking for objects in orbit, and they're constantly scanning everywhere looking for all this stuff for potential, you know, space debris and incoming missiles, that sort of thing. Let's just minimise this. Okay, so if we go to NORAD, can we actually get a picture of this? Yeah. Okay. So this is NORAD's radars. Okay, and we can see where these radars are. So it's a flat. We're looking down on the Earth. Okay, so Fylingdales, this is the UK up here, and you can see the range from Fylingdales. This is line of sight range because it's a UHF radar, so it's not looking over the horizon. It's just looking up into space, line of sight. So if it's seeing this kind of distance, then it's looking very, very high up into space. There's another one at Thule there in Greenland, and looks like there's another couple down here. But as you can see, you know, here's all the coverage from all these radars sort of overlapping. And if there's anything visiting North America, NORAD is going to know about it, assuming of course that the alien technology will allow their spacecraft to be seen on radar. It may be that the technology is such that if they can get here, they could very easily maintain radar invisibility. But certainly, you know, if I was the Department of Defence or I was NASA and I was looking into this, I would certainly be talking to NORAD and asking for access to their data. That's for sure and certain. Here in Australia, we don't go in for the same sort of radar. These are These are phased array UHF radars. So there's no spinning scanners here. This is all, the beams are all directed electronically by changing the phase of the energy fed to the antennas. And they're UHF, I think, typically. So they're between 400 and 500 megahertz, the actual signals. Now, if we look at what Australia does, and Australia actually tracked a stealth aircraft, which I thought was quite funny. Because the Americans said that a stealth aircraft, and it wasn't detectable, and they flew it around the equator, and the Australians tracked it on their high frequency radar, and told them how fast it was going and what the course was and what the altitude was and all that sort of stuff. And the Americans were really quite impressed by that, or unimpressed, I think, actually, that their aircraft could be so easily detected. Now, these are high frequency radars. These are over the horizon radars, so these are not looking up and out into space like the NORAD UHF radars. The signals from these are very long wavelengths in the high frequency part of the radio spectrum, and they bounce off of the ionosphere, the underneath of the ionosphere. They bounce. So you can have a really stealthy aircraft that's going to reflect millimetric and centimetric radars, like the Bemuse radars that we were just looking at. They're centimetric radars because their wavelengths are measured in centimeters. These wavelengths are measured in meters. They're considerably larger wavelengths, and they tend to as the signal is bouncing down, it's going up into the air and it's coming down from the ionosphere. It's looking down on the aircraft, so it sees the aircraft in plan view, and there's not much you can do to hide an aircraft from that sort of radar. The centimetric radars, the millimetric radars, the aircraft can be shaped, they have radar absorbent material, and they bounce these signals off and they scatter these signals. But if you're looking directly down on the aircraft and you can see the whole wingspan and the tailplane, and you can see everything, there's a lot of surface area to reflect the signal off of, and that's what we see. Well, that's what they see on the HF radars. So I'd be talking to it's called JORN, JORN. I'd be talking to them as well, and I'd be saying, have you tracked anything? Flying in this region here. I suspect the range is considerably better than what's shown on this diagram. To be perfectly honest. Probably not the angles are probably good, but the actual range I suspect is better than they're showing us here. This one here, radar 2, where is it? Radar 2, yeah, this one here, radar 2 is at Laverton, which is about there, and as you can see it's got a sort of semicircular pattern. People say, well, why didn't the Australians track MH370? Well, even if they did, these things are very, very expensive to run. They use a lot of power, and I suspect they would only be turned on if there was a fairly high threat level. If I had tuned around on shortwave now, I very much doubt I'd hear them banging away on shortwave. I have heard them in the past, and it's a huge signal, as you might expect. Now, where's the pen gone? Where's the pen gone? Where's the pen gone? Right, so it's here. So MH370 flew sort of down here. As you can see, it doesn't scan much below there. MH370 went sort of down here somewhere. So even if it had been on, they wouldn't have found the final resting place of the plane. Now this lilac area here, IRSU, this is the Alice Springs. This is a research radar. These are all run by BAE Systems, by the way. And I've actually been to this one. I went there for a job interview, this Alice Springs radar. Is more or less in the middle of Australia, Alice Springs there, and you can see the scan pattern from that one there. Well, the transmitter is actually at a place called Harts Range, and the receiving station is about 50 k's out of Alice Springs down here. Radar 1 up in Queensland, I can't remember where that one is based, but it's going to be about there, and you can see the pattern that scan, but it covers a fair old area, and as I say, I suspect it covers a much better area than actually shown here. So when you've got these sort of assets, You should be able to find out fairly quickly if any of this is really going on. And again, with the caveat that you know, the aliens would actually, the alien technology would not be advanced enough that they could actually be radar invisible if they wanted to be. I suspect that's probably going to be the case, to be honest. But certainly, if I was conducting a study like that, this is the sort of people I'd be talking to. You know, see if I could get data from NORAD, get data from JORN in Australia. This is, you know, if I was NASA and if I was the American Department of Defence, these are the sort of people I'd be talking to. I think what they're saying is they're going to be, you hear people talking about these optical, Ross Coulthard mentions good optics on these aircraft, but they don't have optics on the aircraft. That's one of the problems. You can only see an infrared image. So I think they're going to be putting optical cameras on military aircraft, so that when they lock onto a target, you can actually get an optical zoom on it and physically see what it looks like, not just what it looks like in infrared, like a black blob or a white blob. You'll actually get a high definition video, you know, optical image of what you're looking at. And you should be able to see fairly quickly if it's a drone or if it's an aircraft or whatever. They haven't, that's never been done, so I suspect that's going to be part of what the American Ministry of Defence is going to be doing with the aircraft, the Hornets or whatever. Actually putting good quality optical cameras on them. Alright, well that's just another very quick video. I'm sorry about the bit at the beginning with the reading out that NASA stuff. It was just so hard to read through this little tiny viewfinder, so apologies for that. But I'll leave a link to the NASA article below so you can read it yourself. But interesting. I was completely unaware of this. I actually watched Anton Petrov earlier on, and he was talking about it. And I thought, wow, I better check that out. He has a similar opinion to myself, you know, that there's just no evidence to support ET visitation. So, you know, until I see evidence, real evidence of ET visitation, it's just science fiction stories, software glitches, and probably natural phenomena. Alright, well I hope you found that interesting. Again, thanks for watching, and if I catch the news later on and that Bill Clinton Area 51 thing is interesting at all, I'll do another quick video on that one. Maybe catch you again.